I want to remind you that hard power really means violence, and soft power means we won in Chile, we won in South Africa, we won with Dr. King, we're winning with Aung San Suu Kyi. That is the mission. To turn away from the gun barrel against our flesh and the torture to be dismissed forever. That's the goal. Washington was right. All the founding fathers were right. Torture is wrong. And waterboarding is wrong. And so as we move forward as a people, can't we adjust the world in such a way as whatever we do in that part of the world is just excellent? In the human rights world, we're allowed to think about a perfect world where there's no degradation and debasement and the raping of hundreds of thousands of women who for years later, when the trauma comes back to them in the night, they want to execute themselves, and there's nobody around then to think about them. Who holds them in the night? Who contains that power that never happens again? And so in a sense, when you're dealing with human rights, there's the degradation of it. And as you hear stories in human rights, your ears should melt, your eyes should fall apart. Because it's so horrible in those torture chambers. If you get in there, or your daughter or son gets in there, you will pray to God or something to help you get them out of that chamber. For if you know what they do in there, it'll freeze you in your spot. You represent, the greats of Lennon and Marley. I want your dream to be with my dream. I want you to understand what the poor need. What do they need? 20% of the world is not for malnutrition. 20%. In the third world, half of Africa is under 20. Most of the world of the third world is under 20. Half of Iran is under 15 practically. Half of Haiti is under 14. Half of Saudi Arabia is under 15. There's a gigantic young world coming. How do we transmit to those folk that are coming online like that in huge numbers that the rule of law counts? That the rule of law is important so that we can keep an orderly world where everybody can move forward and get a bite to eat, get a job. And I think that's what human rights is about in a certain way. We give to each other what is decent and kind and compassionate. I think in a certain sense tonight I'd like you to think about that you represent the spirit of Bob Marley or John Lennon or Joe Strummer, the greats of the music world, that universal spirit that you felt in Mark and Holly's music, that universal power that allows you to see the world can work. And I want my nation to represent soft power, nonviolent power. I want it to be the true city on the mountain. How do we make sure there's a fair playing field for everybody? And I'm saying, look at that declaration, what it does for us. It doesn't solve all the problems. Like the Constitutional Bill of Rights for Dr. King, it didn't solve everything. We had to fight the Civil War. We had to deal with Jim Crow. We had to have Dr. King come along. And so the Universal Declaration of Human Rights sets us all going in the right direction with a common strategy and a common purpose. And so, in a sense, as you hunt for the movement to go forward, we hunt for symbols of hope, right? And in the symbols of hope, there's a Mandela, there's an Aung San Suu Kyi, there's a Romero, there's a Biko. And these are people who come to represent not only themselves, not only their nation, but the whole world. The whole world. What is human rights? When we get into it, really, what is it? What is it? And the answer to that is what every mother wants. That's all. So if you have a kid, what do you want? A bite to eat, right? A job? Yeah. Get sick, you need a doctor. Okay. No. That's what human rights is. And if that's good for you and your child, why isn't that good for everybody? And why don't we fight for that?